In 2018, Imran Khan promised a Naya Pakistan or a new Pakistan, one that will create 10 million jobs, build an Islamic welfare state, restore Pakistan's tattered image abroad. What happened to these promises when Imran Khan took office? He first gave in to the whims and fancies of the Pakistani military. He was then accused of being a puppet in the hands of the Chinese government. The promised Islamic welfare state was never built, but just when you thought things could not get any worse, the Imran Khan government decided to bow down to Pakistan's religious extremists. We have told you on this show how Imran Khan's proximity to the military and China backfired. For example, how China looted Pakistan of $630 million through projects linked to the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, one that is now being called the power scam. On Gravitas tonight, we focus on how Imran Khan is letting invisible forces and religious hardliners take to the driver's seat and steer the country towards shutdowns, protests and chaos, and what this means for the people of Pakistan. Let's take a look at what happened just last week, when the Pakistan government bowed down to hardliners who had then taken to the streets against the French President Emmanuel Macron's crackdown on radical Islam. A deal was signed between the Pakistan government and the hardliners, forcing Islamabad to cut diplomatic ties with Paris. The Pakistani government promised to enact a legislation which would ultimately lead to the expulsion of the French ambassador. It agreed to not send an ambassador to France. And not just that, the Pakistan administration also promised to have French products boycotted at a government level. Do you think Pakistan can afford to snap ties with France? It is one of the most important members of the European Union. France is also one of Pakistan's most important trade partners. In fact, a 2016 study showed that Pakistan's imports from France amount to about 9% of its total EU imports, $0.37 billion of the total $6.92 billion. Given Pakistan's economic condition, can Imran Khan afford to mess this up? Pakistan also uses critical French military equipment, the likes of Mirage fighter aircraft, mine hunters, Agusta 90B submarines. Can you imagine what snapping of ties could mean for Pakistan? A religious extremist may not understand this, but the government should. Yet, the Imran Khan government chose to give in to the demands of Khadim Hussain Rizvi, Pakistan's Interior Minister Ejaz Shah, and Minister for Religious Affairs Pir Nurul Qadri signed the agreement with Rizvi's party. What does all this tell us about Pakistan's priorities? Islamabad is busy deciding what to do with France when it has a growing list of troubles at home. For example, the intensifying COVID-19 crisis. In March this year, Pakistan's stock exchange recorded the biggest decline in 10 years. There is food inflation that's affecting the people of Pakistan on a daily basis, unemployment. And how can we forget terror financing? Let me give you some numbers now. According to the World Bank, Pakistan's real GDP growth is estimated to have declined from 1.9% in FY19 to minus 1.5% in FY20. Consumer inflation has risen from 6.8% in FY19 to an average of 10.7% in FY20. The Pakistan rupee has depreciated 13.8% against the US dollar in FY20. Pakistan's export values contracted 7.5%. Its external debt has grown to 38.2% of its GDP. And instead of addressing these crucial figures and issues, Imran Khan's government is busy letting fundamentalists set the country's agenda. There have been protests against France in other countries as well, be it Malaysia or Turkey. But where else have you seen a country's leader bowing down to these invisible forces? Where else have you seen a democratically elected party striking a deal with extremists on the country's foreign policies? By giving in to these demands of first the military, then China, and now the extremists, the government of Imran Khan is betraying those who voted for them and placing their interests in the back seat.